Tea Time. I'm your host, Mirko, and hope you have a beautiful day so far. How are you doing, everybody? I'm, for myself, doing very, very good. In particular, we just got the news, or I just got the news, that I've reached or our channel reached the Twitch affiliate status. Yay! Whoop, whoop. So, thank you so much, all of you, for your support. It's been quite some way. I think we're streaming now over half a year. In March we started. I started in March, and then 17, I think. And yeah, so it's been a long way, but we've made it to this point. Other people probably do it on the first day. For us, we did it on hardcore level, let's say. So yeah, that's very cool. Today we are going to do something slightly different. First of all, I'm going to move all the cards in this list over to here, to the and we're not going to do T-Wars Lite, but instead we look at NestJS today. So we've also been working with NestJS in our regular project, the T-Wars, a Final Fantasy game, where the front end is built completely in Phaser, but the back end is actually using NestJS to connect both to a database as well as handle streaming and so on. So that's a cool thing. I think, I see there is a new message. Let me just finish writing this text here in the other window, and then I can read your message. So NestJS, we're going to check out the CRUD generator. So, hi Nant Kishore 2, how are you doing? Everything all right on your end? I have a weird reverb here on my headphones. No, that should be fine. So let's refresh the to-dos, and then we see everything is good now. And what we are going to look at is the CRUD stuff. There we go. Yeah, and I took kind of a it's fantastic. Thank you. I suppose you're talking about your apartment, right? Cheers to you. Have a cup of tea. Today we're drinking Genmaicha, which is green tea with roasted rice. So you get a slightly roasted flavor, like you probably used from coffee. So that's very nice. This one is actually, I think, a Korean tea. I bought it in a Korean Asia shop, so I'm not sure whether I can find it online. What kind of drink are you drinking right now? So we're the tea time, right? The TypeScript tea time. I'm in bed. I'm going to sleep after some time. That's good. Okay. I can talk very, 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 very quiet, so you can actually sleep. Take your time. We are going to check out NestJS. So let me pull this over here. NestJS. So not because it has cute cats, which are amazing. And I'm a cat person, so trust me. But in this case, so NestJS basically, if you're used to Express.js in the JavaScript world, you will probably also like NestJS because you basically get Express.js, but on top of that, you get more structure. Because with Express.js, basically everybody has its own patterns and every company does it differently. So when you switch companies, or you as a company you get new people to join you, it's always like a complete new learning experience. NestJS tries to solve that partially, or at least lower the barrier by giving you a concrete, of fairly rigid architecture, which is still flexible enough so that you can do pretty much everything, as you would do with Express.js, the web server. But you still, as long as you follow the rules, you can do pretty much everything. But it's much lower entry barrier for new people to join to your project. So that's cool. What we are going to check out, so if you ever want to check it out, so the website is this. Can we use Python for web development? We absolutely can. Wait, that was the wrong link. This one. Yeah, the other one is a guide. If you want, you can also read on affiliation with Twitch, but it's probably boring. We can absolutely use Python, and in fact, the reason why I'm looking into it is because of the Django REST framework, which I originally started as a Django developer, Python, but then switched over to TypeScript, and well, web development with Node.js. But back in the day, I hadn't, so it was 2015, so even Django was kind of young still, in 1.6 or something. And
NandKishore 2 joined our tea time.
Welcome, NandKishore 2. Cheerio. And at that point, at least I didn't know about Django REST framework. Well, maybe it was around at that time. But I did check out Django just recently again, to give me kind of a refresher in both Django and as well as Python. And well, Django REST framework is amazing. You get the user management and authorization and authentication out of the box. Authentication at least out of the box from the Django default, like a regular Django. And with this, it's so easy to create stuff. And that inspired me to look at something that I did find a long time ago, and I was talking about that yesterday, just ever so shortly, which was CRUD. This project where this is regular, fairly standard NestJS code, but here you particularly add something called add CRUD, this decorator, annotation if you're from the Java world. And with that, it automatically generates you patch, find all, post, so create endpoint, and so create, read, update, and delete endpoints. All of that out of the box with basically just this little decorator. The reason why I'm not going to stream about this project, so that was 2 years ago when I checked, or 3 years probably, when I checked out NestJS first. The reason why is they actually have an issue about the future of this library. And it is not clear whether it's going to stay the way it is or not. One of I think the main guy behind this library originally has actually just joined the team of NestJS. So that's definitely an interesting thing. Yeah, I think he's it. Yeah. Trilon is a company behind NestJS, and the dude the maintainer of this library, NestJS X with an X, that's important, not the official one, has this CRUD thing. And that was around 3 years ago, and it was amazing already back then. had its bugs, but still, the idea was pretty cool. So what came around now, and in particular natively supported by the team of NestJS, is NestJS CRUD generator. So instead of having this decorator, did I close it? No, I didn't. I just moved it into a weird shape. So instead of having this decorator, it instead completely generates everything for you, and you basically don't have to change much, but you can just use it as of then. If you don't need to customize it any further, perfect. But if you need to customize it, you can just do the regular stuff that you do in NestJS on a daily basis, basically, when you work with it in your day job, which I did. And you don't have to type all of this. So, and this is just one file. We will see how it looks like. So to use the CRUD generator and to use actually everything from the CLI, you would typically start here. And well, I haven't checked it out too much. That's what what I want to do today with you guys in particular. I only ensured that my setup is actually working because I had, I don't know, an old version of Nest installed or something. Definitely errored at that point. But basically what I did so far is just install the NestJS CLI. So if we go to VS Code and I say nest -- help, we see that we have the Nest CLI here. And now we can actually start doing stuff. So I only want to go here and maybe make a directory episode 42 or something. 42. Yep. Make directory. Let's make directory episode 42 minus NestJS CRUD generator. So cd into that one, E42. And now we can actually start. So with just the regular stuff, first of all. So the first thing we probably do is we create a new project. That's what I want to do. And by the way, have you guys ever worked with NestJS or any other web development framework? Which one is your favorite? That's always an interesting question because there are so many out there. All of them have their pluses and their minuses. And some people will like one framework more, and some people like the other. But it's always nice to see what's out there, right? So that we can actually get a better understanding of from which tools can we choose, right? If you only have a hammer, that would be kind of annoying. As soon as you have a screw, the hammer won't help you much unless you're very, very strong. But as you can see on the size of my arms, I'm not one of those. You're studying Node.js. Very stretch the surface. Ah, sweet. Well, did you say yesterday that you started? No, that was a different color, I think. But also starting with M. with JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Was somebody yesterday? That was you. Okay, perfect. Did you change your color? I kind of remember a bluish color, but maybe I'm not. Well, it was only one day. If I recognize the name, and I do recognize the name. But because you came with the guys from Finite. But you didn't change anything. Okay, so it was just my imagination. But very cool. Yeah, Node.js is very, very powerful. I think I said that yesterday. You can do pretty much everything with it, from infrastructure provisioning to front-end development, back-end development, simple scripting, all of that, and all kinds of platforms. So what I wanted to do was nest new and then the project name. Let's say CRUD gen. And now it's scaffolding everything. So it says we will scaffold your app in a few seconds. So it's creating a lot of stuff. So an ESLint config, but maybe we just create one and then we look into it more closely. Let's say we take npm for the time being. So which package manager would we like to use? We did have a couple of choices there, npm and yarn, the most famous ones. Basically solving the same problem, but doing it slightly differently. You're gonna see me probably using both. Yeah. So do you have a particular project that you're working on? Because if so, please tell me about it. So let's see. We have our CRUD can here, and we can just say code dot, and then it's opening inside of VS Code. Ba-bams. It also already installed a bunch. No project set, just learning from Code Academy. Ah, that's cool. So following a course, I suppose. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah. After that, so once you're basically you finished the course, the first big step is probably, or the important step is probably to just start a project, whichever you like. And even if you scrape it after 5 days, just getting your hands on something that is where you have to do stuff yourself, and running into problems and so on. That's at least the way that I enjoy learning a lot, and that I find to be very, let's say, fruitful at times, sometimes also confusing and annoying. But basically what we're doing here, and you will see me struggle on stream as well. As I said, I did check out just enough to see that everything is working. The two commands that we have, the new create a new project and the generate a resource, which is the next command that we look at. But after that, I'm basically also going into this blind, except for the knowledge that I have of NestJS, which is also worth something, I think. So let's look at package.json. That's basically our entry point into the project most of the time. We see a start function, and it says nest start here. So nest comes built in with a tool to automatically reload our application and so on changes, which is pretty cool. So I just started that one, and now we can maybe go to localhost, probably 3000, I think is the default port. Did it say something? It did not. That would be useful if they just printed the port. Hello world, there we go. Can you see that? Not much that it does. It's actually not even it's actually not even HTML that it returns. But still, it also has some cool stuff set up, which I definitely enjoy. So first of all, it's TypeScript project, which is not standard, at least not yet. necessarily. It also has a formatter installed, so if I go into this random function and I do a lot of spaces and I just save, it hopefully, yeah, there we go. It just, that might also be partially my VS Code plugins, so be aware of that. But it immediately formats everything, and that's all out of the box. Probably somewhat opinionated, but I'm fine with that as long as I don't have to set it up myself. We have the build command. That's probably when we actually want to push it into production. Pre-build, we have linting. That's basically the same as formatting. If you think in a specific sense. We have testing automatically also set up with Jest, which you might be familiar with, Mikos. Jest, one of the few very large testing frameworks for JavaScript out there. And we even have end-to-end tests with JSON. That's just the configuration file. Okay. Yeah. So all of that out of the box. Do we actually have tests? What if I run npm run test, or just npm test? I think it actually has a test already set up. So there are a couple of things that we have to just go over briefly. We have a main entry point, which is also visible here in. Oh, it's not visible apparently. Okay. So the main entry point is this main, and this is a very, very, very simple one. So one thing that I do want to do here is console.log listening on http://localhost:3000. Because if I do that, oh, what did I do? Sorry. Save. And so be aware. So let's see. Let's run instead start dev, because it's actually watching the files, so we don't have to rerun any when we change something. And now it's saying listening on port, and I can just click here, which is always nice for dev setup. So, and now if I leave this open here, you will see that because we now have the watch running, if I change anything here, for example, we say we run on port 2000 with amps, it actually did the thing without us doing anything except me changing, saving the file. So now let's switch to 3000 because that's just the regular thing. Yeah, I think a proper dev setup is worth so much. It is worth so much. That's also why I love TypeScript so much. You get all of this auto-completion, for example. I have no idea about Nest Factory, but it automatically tells me, so I have a create method, and I can get some more information. It has a parameter module options, it returns a promise. I immediately see it has another method called create application context and create microservice. And that's the reason why I'm on the TypeScript side and not on the JavaScript side, actually. So from here, we can jump in. I mean, it listens on a port, so it starts the web server, and it creates something from an app module. And this is something that is very specific to Nest, and I think, but I'm not sure, it might come from Angular, because NestJS is very much inspired by Angular. You basically have the following structure. You have a module. A module includes services, it includes controllers, and it basically, that's the general setup. This one controls the API. And this one is actually your business logic. And oftentimes talk to the database. So the general setup most of the time is if an API call comes in, API request, let's say, and a get localhost 3000. Let's change this. So it goes first of all to the controller. It typically it gets then passed down to the service. The service talks to the database. It goes back, and then it goes back the other way around, creating the response in the meantime. The module is basically just a way to structure your project, and I think that one is actually coming from Angular. And so you have multiple modules that you can then reference from each other, but you can be very explicit of what you want to use, so you don't have cross references and total spaghetti code and everything becomes terrible. But it's very structured. You basically always have to explicitly say, I want to pass this one to the outside world. And yeah, so inside of the app module, we actually see we have an app service and an app controller, as I said. The app service probably not talking to a database just yet. Yeah, currently it just returns hello world. That's not so useful. And so as you can see, we have a lot of decorators here. And that's one thing that, because TypeScript did implement the JavaScript specification for decorators very early. It's fairly open, and a lot of people use the decorators. So let's look at the app controller. So this is basically where when an API request comes in, the first thing that is called is the app controller. And why is it called? Because, well, we declare it as a controller, and we give it this @get endpoint. And what we can do is we do something like @get / hi there, and we take some function, say hi, which returns a string. And let's take the stuff that GitHub Copilot is telling us here. We just return hi there. So if I save and I now go to localhost 3000 / hi there we go. The framework picks up according to those decorators and the route that we specify in the decorator. I think I can actually do also this. It automatically picks up which route it should tell. So since you're doing Node.js, you probably have come across Express.js. There you would probably do something like const app is equal to express and app.listen on port 3000, which starts the web server. And inside of here, you usually do something like app.get hi there. And then you give it a callback function, which would then say return hi there. Oh, that didn't work. Hi there, thank you. Right? Maybe you might have seen this if you have used Express.js before. This is the NestJS equivalent of that. Being very, because it's basically cross-cutting, you have to write this a lot. You haven't used it yet. Okay, it will come. Don't worry about it. Express is just the standard, probably in anything that comes to when it comes to TypeScript. Sorry, JavaScript web servers, also TypeScript. So that's a cool thing. Now the interesting part comes in. Let's say now this is basic. What I've explained so far is the basics of NestJS in a very short 30 minutes, well, even less probably. What we have now, what we actually wanted to look at is the CRUD generators. So CRUD standing for create, read, update, and delete. We could, so this is basically a read method, if you want to say so. We could also do something we could define these all ourselves. So it would look like something like this. Post being the keyword for when you do HTTP requests that typically create something. Let's say at create user, and there you would typically do something like return this dot app service dot create user, and then the app service talks to the database and creates actually something. And then you have something like patch. You probably have some input here, which I'm going to skip. I'm just going to display what would be the usual case. Here you would have something like update user, patch being the update typically, and then you pass down the input after some validation most likely. Then you have something like this, get the users, and you have something like get a specific user at get user/id. So our friend GitHub Copilot makes it actually pretty simple to generate to create these as well. So this is typically what you would need to write if you wanted to create a user endpoint, as well as more logic. The good thing is we don't actually have to do that. And why do we not have to do that? Because we have the CRUD generator. So we could, with the help of the CLI also, say something like Nest generate me a module, Nest generate me a controller, Nest generate me a service. That's what we would regularly do also in entity. So the thing that includes the database as well as the business logic and so-called data transfer object. Let's not talk about them yet now. So all of this is what you would usually write and more. But now the cool thing comes here. I just copy and paste the Nest generate me a resource. And what name would you like to call it? Do you have a suggestion, Mikas? What kind of API are we creating? Maybe a products API, maybe a Twitch streamers and Twitch users API, or an API for tea. Yes, by the way, an actual Japanese tourist cup. My host family in Japan actually. They gave me the most touristy cup that was possible. Okay, tea. So let's say we take the plural teas. And what kind of transport layer do we want? So there are multiple ways that clients and servers communicate with each other. It could be a REST API. One fairly new thing is GraphQL. It could be actually not HTTP, but more microservice oriented, where you probably would have an event bus or something. It could be with WebSockets, which we actually do in our regular stream yesterday. There we use WebSockets. But for the time being, so what we've looked at so far and what we have here also is basically a REST API. And so I'm going to choose, I want a transport layer REST API, and it asked me to, would you like to generate CRUD entry points? Yeah, absolutely, that's what I'm here for. And now it's creating stuff. So it's also installing things, which is interesting. Maybe I should have taken a look at that one. But now it created a couple of files here, as we can see. The actual T is the T entity. We also have a T controller. We have a spec file, which is a test file, the jest test file. Some people call it .test.ts, some people call it .spec.ts, some people call it something different. Others don't differentiate it and make instead have a separate directory. In our case, we just have the test files directly next to the actual files. So we have the controller, we have the module, we have the servers. That's very good. But we also have more. We actually also have a create TDTO and we have an update TDTO. So if I go back here, I kind of skipped over the input basically, just typing it here as any. Give me anything you have. That's basically where the DTO comes in, the data transfer object, which encapsulates some logic for you. It makes it also a class so you can work with it better and so on. So, and now inside of our directory structure here, we see, well, all the app stuff is still there, but we now have a subdirectory T's. And inside of there, we see a lot of stuff. Particularly, we see the module. Oh, interesting. We have everything written completely finished. I just need to save because the linter does something different. We now have the T's controller, and all of this is generated for us. We have the post endpoint so that we can create something. We can create T now. Yay! We can find all the T's. We can get one specific T. For example, you want to have details about Genmaicha. Or you want to have specifics about, let's say, green jasmine tea or peppermint tea. We have patch, which means you can update a T entry. Be aware, so for example, you make a typo. In that case, you probably just want to change that typo. Let me just take a short look. I am expecting a call somewhat. Okay, so for example, you make a typo in the name of your tea. You call it pfefferminz tea instead of peppermint tea, and then you notice I was supposed to speak in English, not in German. So you can just update it. And you have a remove functionality. If you want to get rid of a specific type of tea, then that's also possible. So far, all of these pretty much only delegate, which is okay, to the T service, which then does the actual action. But these have to be defined apparently. Okay, I wasn't aware of how much it creates. What I did see was this part. As of now, I'm also in the blind. So why does it do plus ID? I think that actually changes it into... That's a hacky way to change something into a number, if I'm not mistaken. But let's try that out. 1, 2, 3. So plus 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's a hacky way to change something into a number. Not sure whether I like it, but we can still change it later if we want to, right? We have the code, so we can actually change it as well. The DTO is probably empty. Yeah, it's a partial type of a create TDTO. Interesting. I haven't seen this one before. I think that's new. And the create TDTO is also empty. So we could, for example, now give it a string, a name, and a description string, maybe some tags, so that we can actually find it better. Maybe a price, because we are developing an API that powers a web shop for selling tea. Maybe an image URL string, stock, yeah, maybe also some stock. So that's all the information that we want, and we actually want it also on the entity, which is the thing that has the actual logic. So this is, on the one hand, it talks to your database, depending on which architecture you follow. So entity, in some contexts, people describe it as this is the thing that holds your business logic. And in other contexts, or oftentimes, the thing that holds the business logic also is the thing that kind of abstracts away the stuff that you then save into your database. So we're probably going to use that in both ways. Since our API is just writing, reading, and so on, without much business logic, I think we can live with just this. So I think the update TDTO now already has the correct type, if I'm not mistaken. So what we can do here, so inside of the patch function, I just want to see how the type looks like. Yeah, now it's a partial of all the relevant things. It probably also has an ID, now that I think about it. Where is my entity? Probably also has an ID, which is a string. Save. There we go. And with that, I think we can actually start using it, right? Is that already it? So what we have done so far is we created a new project. We ran the generate resource teas command, and we added which kind of properties should be inside of the T and which type of properties should be on the create DTO. And now it doesn't have a database. So what I want to do before I actually get into a database is we just have a private teas, which is a teas array, teas entity. What's it called? Teas entity T. It's just called T. There we go. Array. So I just save it in memory, essentially. Probably not what you want to do. You want to hook in a database and then talk to the database and save stuff. So from here, I'm just going to say teas.push essentially the DTO. So I'm just going to spread that. But I also want to have, so it says ID is missing, and I do want the ID to be, let's say UUID, random UUID. Where do you come from? From crypto. we don't have UUID installed, I think. npm UUID. So this is the package that probably most people use to generate universally unique IDs. So I want to install that. And since we're using TypeScript, we also want to install the TypeScript definitions. Some projects deliver both together, but in this case, because it's a very old library, it's been around for probably forever, they still have it separate. So we have to install it one by one. And now we should be able to do something like this. So v4 is one of the specifications. There we go. For creating those universally unique IDs. And that's about it. And then we probably just want to return the object. So let me just take this. We say extract to content, new constant. We say t, and then we return the newly created t here. Find all. This one is just this dot return t's, this dot t's, done. Find one is this dot t's dot find me a t with the ID equal to the ID. It says number here. I actually want this to be a string. That was just the linter complaining. So we now probably have TypeScript errors that I do want to fix first before I continue. So far, can you still follow? Does it make sense what I'm kind of trying to do here? So we do this plus. Let's get rid of the annoying plus. Yeah, you can. Perfect. Great. So I got rid of all the pluses that make it into numbers. Now, actually, I'm just curious now. If I have a string like hello, if I do plus s, it's not a number. Okay, yeah, but not a number is actually of type number. Type of none is a number. Not a number is a number. Yep. Yeah, not a number is weird. There are a couple of things. If you haven't seen it, take a look at what the fuck JS. Sorry. And there's a great talk, 14 minutes or so, or 18 minutes. It's so ridiculous. Take the time. You will be absolutely fascinated. After the stream, of course. Stay with me. Bear with me. It's worth it. Savor that for later. After the stream, so I will probably stream until 20 o'clock. Grab a new cup of tea, and then just enjoy 18 minutes of totally utterly nonsense. It's amazing. So I think in here we have fixed the TypeScript bugs. Yeah, it says found 0 errors. Perfect. Now we can continue with the update method. This is going to be interesting. So we first of all want to find the t that we have. Let me see. So this is one interesting part. tsconfig. It's not in strict mode. So one thing that if you start with TypeScript, or if you want to do real TypeScript, put it into strict mode. it's also, even by the language people, that's the recommended way to use it. It might change your existing code because you have to do some more things. So one thing that you might see now is, in particular, reload window. Or was there another setting? Tservice dot find. Here's config. No implicit any. True. Strict null checks. True. Skip lib check. I'm not sure. Strict bind call apply. Was consistent casing. It's always nice. No fall through cases. Also true. Safe. So run again. Now we basically upgraded. So TypeScript is not equal to TypeScript. It could be so easy, right? TypeScript is not equal to TypeScript. One important thing to know about TypeScript is that, in fact, oh, that's actually working. There are different levels of strictness of TypeScript. And I basically just now pushed it to a very, very strict level from a fairly okay, lax level. But I would, if you're in a larger project and if you care about not having bugs, I would actually recommend a fairly strict way of setting this up. The important part here is, so just a minute ago, the array.find method said it just returns a t. But now it says actually it returns a t, or it might actually find nothing, in which case it returns undefined. And we now have to take care, we as developers, and the code actually complains now, that we have to really set those variables. So in this case, I will just ignore all of these errors because the framework takes care of it. In the other case, which is this one, I actually want to change t's into, whoops, what am I doing? Constructor. So constructor, thank you. We receive a basically params which are partial t, I think, and we don't do object assign. That's unsafe. We do this dot. Let's see. Yeah, let's just give this an object. Yeah, for the time being, we can do something simple here. We just do this, and we replace all the semicolons by commas, and we use our multi-selector to do this, and we say public ID and so on. So this is a shorthand in TypeScript. We basically define these as data fields inside of this class. So we can now use this dot ID, description, and so on everywhere in the class. So for example, if we have a public is hot function here, we can say return this dot name is equal to hot t, and then it's hot t is hot t. So this is a shorthand TypeScript way of, I think it comes from C# because the founder of C# is also the founder of TypeScript, which is convenient. I think Anders or Anderson, I think Anders is his name. And this is one useful way to, or shorthand way It's not quite useful. We would probably change it if we actually bring in the database, but for now it's okay. What we can do is we can say, give me a new t, and what we do is we now have to provide a lot of values. So it takes 7 arguments, which is of course not ideal because it's a lot, but whatever. So we do v4, we do create, let's just call this one into TTO dot name, I think, is the next one, DTO dot description is the next one, DTO dot tags is the next one, DTO dot price, DTO dot image URL. They are, by the way, nicer ways to do this, but for the time being we're good with this. Did I make a mistake? DTO dot stock. Okay, perfect. So that's it. Now we have the T object inside of there. Perfect. As of now, we can. So why did I do all of this? Because now T is of type T or maybe undefined, because now, and I see that now. That's why I changed that. So if not T, then we probably want to throw new not found exception, something like that. Yeah. No T with RD colon, and then $ID. Oops, that was the wrong key. There we go. So if there is no T, then do that. Otherwise, return the T. Perfect. We can do pretty much the same inside of here, I think. So in the remove function, we find one by ID. What else? If there is no such thing, then we say not found, which is hopefully the right error. Otherwise, we say, actually we probably want something like this dot t's dot find index instead. T index. And so find index returns -1 if nothing has been found, and otherwise the index. So if T index is -1, we know nothing has been found, otherwise it will do the thing. So, and in case it finds now something, we have to take basically, we remove the element from the array. So how do we do that? It's always a question. JS remove element from array. Can you splice? That's probably not what I want. We can use filter. Right. So this dot. I have another idea. So we use filter. This dot t's dot filter, and we say, so filter returns you an array where and an array with all those elements that fulfill the condition inside of here. And the condition is it should be unequal to this ID. So this is const new t's equals this one. So what we can test is if new t's dot length is equal to this dot t's dot length, then we know we did actually find nothing. And otherwise, we say this dot t's is equal to new t's. Maybe call this filtered t's. That's a dumb joke. Filtered tea. We can also make filter coffee. Stupid jokes. I love it. So that's our remove functionality. Let me just take another look. It returns actually nothing. Is that okay? I think that's okay. It might be okay. I'm not sure. I think I messed up the update because as you can see, this one is not used. So how do we actually update? We of course have to do t dot we can do something like this, t dot update, and then update the TTTO. How about it? We can just say, well, declare my method, and there it goes. And then we can say, this is going to be interesting. Some of these might be undefined. So what we want to do is we do basically an OR, logical OR, but we do it with question mark instead. Yeah. This dot name. Question mark, this dot description. So you might be familiar with this writing. So basically when you have false or true, the false goes away and the true stays. The same for 0 or 24. It will fall back to 24. The difference with question mark is this was actually 0, and the only difference is undefined or 24 is equal to 24, and null or 24 is also equal to 24. Even if you do false or true, this will be false. So it takes away, it basically checks for nil. So undefined or null. Sometimes people call this nil instead of falsy. So this would be 0 would be a falsy value, false is a falsy value. Undefined is also falsy, and null also falsy, and empty string as well. Empty string is also falsy, but none of these are actually nil. And question mark is the nil thing. So I think it's called nullish coalescence. That's the worst name ever. It's a terrible name. The question mark operator. I would call it nil or. Anyway, so the reason why I'm using it here is we actually want to make the update if the value is empty string. If it is provided as empty string, then we want to do the update. Because we can actually just not provide it at all, and in that case there will be no such property, and this will evaluate to null, to name, this dot name. But if it's actually explicitly listed as empty string, then it will take this one. So down here also there's the tags. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ice-T. And there we have our update logic. Web apps. And then we return the T. Return the T. We should next time we take favors, then we can return favors. Sorry. Oh, this is so silly. How old are you? I'm almost 4.5. I think we're done. This is our complete API. Did I change anything inside of here? I don't know. So let's stage all of this. Bams. And now we can actually send some API requests. So the way I'm going to do that is we create a new file and we call it inside of there test.htp. This is a plugin that I'm using now. It's called REST client. Yeah, this one. Fairly useful if you want to check that out. Because we can just say something like get http://localhost:3000/Ts, and that's it. And we can just send the request. Bam, there we go. It returns empty array. In this case, we can also, for example, get https://google. Is it www.google.com? What just happened? And the way to split those. So if I just do this, they will the send request button will only appear above the first one. You can put three hashtags. And also just type something here as a comment. Theoretically, that's possible, but now you can actually see this, and we see Google inside of here. So basically, this is curl, but easy and in code. So, but instead of getting Google, we actually just want to get T's / some ID /1 maybe. And backslash, we want to first of all post http:// maybe I just copy this again and say post up front here. So now this takes a JSON, and in particular we probably also have to say content type application / JavaScript JSON. Now we write the JSON. So this is the DTO that we are now sending. Create TDTO, exactly. So it needs a name. We give it, what's your favorite tea, Mikaos? So we give it a description. Mikaos favorite tea. Check it out. It's real good. Good. So it's valerian root. Gotta check that out myself. Ah, interesting. A herb. An herb. Plant native to Europe and Asia. Let's call it tea. Valerian root tea. Ah. Good for sleeping, apparently. Ah, Baldrian. I see. Yeah. Is that the same thing? I think it is. not sure. Then what else do we have to provide? Maybe I just copy and paste this over. That's probably easier. So we take tags. It is green, it's herbal, it's spicy, it's maybe good for sleep, it is good for calm, very calming, see? I think I forgot a comma here. Unfortunately, we don't have, oh, that would be great if we had get actual syntax checking here as well. Oh, that would be so good. Maybe I should contribute to that project. Price, let's see, 650. Ours is premium, so we give it for €7.95. I think it's a number currently, and we don't have validation in place yet, but we can probably add that. We still have a stock of 400 left. An image URL is, let's just pick you, copy image address, encrypt it. Oh, interesting. And I think that's it. Or maybe let's take a place kitten. Let's just take a place kitten. Bams. So this is this picture. Oh, it's cute. And now we can actually send this request, and hopefully we have an unexpected token. Ah, I have a comma here. That's wrong. So NestJS automatically ships so it automatically parses the JSON for us. And that's why it automatically was able to say, oh, there's something wrong. So the comma here was probably the issue. And now if I do this, it says created, and it returned us an AT object, a getTDTO, I think, with an ID, a name, a description, some tags, and so on. The URL, which we can now use on the front end if we wanted to. We now in particular see this on our getTs. We see the array of our 1T. We can also take the ID here. So that's cool. We take the ID here and we put the ID after the slash. So remind on the controller. So maybe let's get into this one just shortly. So when I did the post, we called this, or the framework called the create function for us, because we decorated with post, and we have the controller which gives so the default is localhost / port, and then if we put the controller inside the t's here, it will add the /t's. Or maybe not the slash, slash might be from the other one, but it will add the t's. And after that, we can get t's with this one, which is find all, which we actually see here, because it returns the array. We also see get :id, so it will, if I call /t/something, it will try to call the :id endpoint, and that's exactly what we get. We get our herbal tea, our valerian root, baldrian. It's really good. And notice that in this case it's a single object and not a list anymore. So if we just change the ID here quickly, we get empty. That's not what we want. I probably made a mistake there. Get find all. No, get find one. Okay. So const t equals this. If not t, throw new not found exception. This one. Copy this from there. Otherwise, return t. So that should fix that part. Rams, no t found with ID, something. And if we go back to the other one, now it doesn't find anything. Because we only have it in memory, it cleared memory. That's the bad thing about auto restart. If you have things in memory, they get, of course, deleted. You got to be aware of that. So let's just recreate things because we have everything in code. I just have to click this button again, and now we see the list again. But the ID has actually changed. We randomly generate that. So I put in the new ID here, and we see Valerian root, the single object. If I put something else, we see, oh, no t with ID. Sweet, and I saved, and it probably restarted again, so everything is gone. No, okay, saving this file is good. So I think that's as far as I want to go, probably, for today. We already talked 1.5 hours, so I hope, so we basically went over the basics of NestJS again. We checked out how powerful actually the CRUD API generator, CRUD generator is, so generate resource. So typically you would have two things. So the next steps that I would do now, if I had more time, is add validation. And the other thing being add a database. And both of these are also fairly explicitly written about inside of the documentation. So what I would be using, maybe I can just write validation. There we go. What I would be using is class transformer as well as class validator. Yeah, two libraries that allow us to write the following. In our DTO, we add these fairly simple decorators again. Everything, or a lot of stuff we can do with decorators, so that it's not so cluttering. And in this case, it will then, with a proper other setup, it will then, whenever a request comes in, it will call this validation function and look at the decorators and then say, oh, this should be an email, let's validate. Oh, this one should be a non-empty string, let's validate, and so on and so on. And then automatically generate nice error messages as well and return them to the client. So that's one thing that would do theoretically, and the other one is just database handling. You can also do class validator on the type ORM model. It's two different things, right? Slightly. On the one hand, you can have it on the API level, on the controller level, essentially. And on the other hand, you might also want it on the API, on the database level, so you don't write anything stupid into the database. That also depends on the database that you're using. But you can definitely do that. Yeah, very good, very good point. you do have then to call the validate function most likely inside of your service. So I suppose you know some more things already about NestJS. Inside of update, for example, if we have some condition that our database isn't able to handle, like the temperature must be from between minus 221 Kelvin degrees Celsius and 100 degrees Celsius, because yeah, of course you want you want T at absolute zero. Why not? So you can dip roses inside of it and scatter them. In that case, you probably before calling update, you probably want to have something like validate T, or otherwise you can also put the validate on the object, and then with update TDTO maybe, something like that. But absolutely, that's possible. Yeah. So to finish my train of thought, one thing that I would add is the validation on the API level. First of all, if your use case also requires it to be on the database level, for example, you don't want negative prices, which makes sense. You don't want to pay the customer for giving the products. Yeah, you might also want to add it on the data in front of the database level, which is the entity. And on the entity, if you follow that's the other thing that I would add. Currently, whenever we save, everything is just in memory, everything gets deleted. We want probably to have a database NestJS gives you a fairly
Artenis joined our tea time.
Artenis. She's better at pronouncing your name than me. I hope you actually hear the sound. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fairly content. NestJS actually, the documentation is fairly strict to type ORM, but you can use it with any other ORM. ORM stands for Object Relational Mapper. It's basically a layer in front of your database, because you don't want to write all those SQL statements yourself. Oh, our first subscriber! 6 months! You kidding? Jesus. Artenis, thank you so much. That's so generous of you. You're the very, very first subscriber. We just today I reached the affiliate status, and seriously, up until 1 minute before the stream, I was filling out text documents for Twitch. And now you're like, shut up and take my money. Seriously, that's so generous. Thank you so much. I'm like, Mika, what's happening? We have hype train? No, not yet. But a hype train is close. Thank you so much. Also, wow, I haven't even set anything up. I need to get some input from Finite to set everything up with Tau.js. But where? People, that's so generous of you. How can I thank you? I mean, probably by doing good videos. So your money will, by the way, be spent on first of all the camera. Currently, I'm just using my webcam, as you can see. First of all, in improving the setup. Guys, what's happening? Because thank you for the bits. The least we can do. Thank you for all this. I haven't done so much. Basically, I'm just presenting the work of other people. Thank you so much. Wow, what is happening? And also, Manila Smala, welcome to the TypeScript Tea Time. So thank you everybody to the new subscribers and also to the new followers. This is the TypeScript Tea Time. I'm Mirko, so my real name, software developer for a couple of years. We are doing mostly TypeScript. Most of the time we're actually developing on something slightly different, but we're actually using NestJS, and we also use a database. Do you guys want to play around? What is happening? Ah! You started Hype Train on my first stream. Gary, thank you so much. Money, La Smaller, thank you for subscribing. Let's go. Yeah, let's. Oh, that's so nice of you guys. Oh. So I will push this, but before I actually push this, we have changed stuff. You are fine. You're also good, right? Hi, Money the Smaller. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I can also try it with a more American English accent. Manila Smaller. Is smaller is not, doesn't happen to be Swedish, does it? Because there's the word smaller, I think, with an A or AO on top of it, meaning small, I think. My brother's a Swedish guy. He can probably tell you more. So we have Valerian root. What I wanted to do is just run the dev server to see that everything is working still, and then we put this perfect. We head over to TWAS. Do you want to save any changes in the module? This one. No, I don't. TWAS. Let's play just one round, and then I gotta go. Need a few more minutes. Sorry. Oh. No, okay. Never mind. So TWAS is the project that we are regularly working on, which is a little game /server where we fight evil beast. Yeah, it's correct, but French actually. I see. Manila Smaller. Maybe. I did have French for like 4 years, 5 years, but I forgot everything. It's amazing. It's amazing when you don't repeat anything and you have it only in school instead of actually being completely motivated. Then yeah, somebody forces you, right, to do something. Then your motivation is not so great. Instead, I actually learned Japanese and within 5 years, and I'm completely fluent. 4 years of French, I forget everything. So nothing against French; it's a great language. And if I had more time, I would probably also learn and at least recover some of my French. I learned some Latin, which probably also helps with that. So we have some rules. So this is basically Final Fantasy. These are the rules, and I'm immediately going to start an ambush because since yesterday we can actually do that, and the monster will wait for us. Yeah. So as soon as somebody joins, so you can type any one of those commands that you have up there in the chat, and we can fight against the monster. Currently, it's fairly not so strong as I can see. So I probably have to go to the server and make the monster stronger. it is currently designed for development. So you can cast fire magic, you can cast some ice magic, we can heal each other. We can, so either by !heal, and you can also type !heal at a space at some specific character to heal even stronger, in fact. Even though it's not documented, it is kind of for the people that come here more often. We have a hype train. We had a hype train. Wow! Thank you so much, everybody. So let's bring some heal out there. Shoo! So thank you for the heal there. So you can also type something like more roleplay stuff. So like I take 3 steps back and then sprint and !attack the monster. As long as !attack or !ice and so on, except for heal maybe, is inside of that, everything that still works. So you can do some, for example, everybody take some heal. You only hit for 2. Yeah. Well, you will actually grow stronger as we fight more monsters, more battles together. The backend actually persists. Let's enjoy the feed. Explosions! Yeah, because everybody loves explosions. Good job, everybody. High five T for each one of you from our newly written NestJS T's API. Whoop whoop. Yeah, the first thing that I probably introduce is a T emote. You guys definitely earned it. This nice little project is powered by NestJS. I can give you a small rundown. If you want to play another round, please tell me and I will make the monsters slightly stronger. But so far, so good. Thank you so much. Good job, everybody. You did gain some experience. So if we go to, oops, that's the wrong browser window. If we go to localhost 3000/adventurers, your characters are now also inside of here. We have Manila La Smola, we have Artness, we have Mikaos, who is actually leveled up. Congratulations! Did we actually see the level up animation? I don't know whether it happened. It should have happened, but maybe it didn't. I didn't notice the level up animation. Then we gotta check that again at some point. Let's add that to the to-do list. Level up not working, question mark. There it is. Yeah, so congratulations, you actually fought 4 battles already. So every battle gives 100 XP. As you can see here, the second level is, I think the third battle gives you, so 300 XP gives you a level up, the first level up, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go to the adventurer quickly. Nope, adventurer entity, actually, but I called it schema instead. It's at 200 XP already. Okay, so 2 battles and you get the second level, 600 and you get the third level, 1100, the next one, 1600. We have actually, since I'm a mathematician, we actually have a fairly interesting formula to calculate how much you need to get to the next level using the root function, essentially, the 2/3 power. So you take the square of something and then you take it to the third root, because that looked not too shabby. It's growth that is not exponentially like you're probably used to in other games, because, well, obviously we only play it on stream, right? So exponential growth would actually mean you probably will never level up as of some point, unless we do like daily streams or something, which we don't for now. Regular streams are on Wednesdays, by the way. So this app, so the front end is completely written in Phaser.js. If you want to check that out, it's an HTML5 getting started guide. Probably the place to look at. The cool place where I most of the time go is actually the Phaser Labs. So inside of here you can see they give you a lot of examples, for example, circles, all of this, and all of it runs in the browser, which is cool. Or this one, because you're now confused. So that's pretty cool. And our front end completely runs on Phaser, together with the help of a lot of open source, not open source, sorry, but public domain as well as Creative Commons assets. Because I'm not an artist, I have no idea about art whatsoever, if you want to say so. So we used a lot of assets from there. All of those are of course linked if you want to check that out. It's all in the GitHub repo. Everything is public, and I will also push the stuff that we developed today. So that's the front end. Because we want to persist across multiple streams. That's why we brought in the backend. And we also brought in the database, and the backend is running actually on NestJS. See the connection? Frontend and backend are actually connected via WebSockets. Socket.io is the library that we're using there, because essentially, well, such a battle is essentially one event happening after another, right? And that's the ideal use case basically for WebSockets, where you have a constant connection, and then you just send the updates over to the front end, and the front end renders it. So the back end contains all the logic, as well as talking to the database to persist everything. On the one hand, the details on the adventurers, but also the events, the battles are persisted, the logs completely. So we can actually recreate the complete battle if we have timestamps, now that I think about it. We can recreate the complete battle with the help of... There was a wrong one, apparently. Let me see, where is the ID? There it is, I think. / yeah. So here we see the events. Mikaos joined, TypeScript time joined. Mikaos actually immediately started attacking onto the gibbering mouth. Oh, it's not a mother, it's a mouther. Interesting. Manila Smaller actually also joined and started attacking. No, the gibberish mouther actually started attacking Manila. Manila took 13 damage. We have some heals. We have some more heals who received actually the heal. attacks, and so on. So we can actually reproduce the complete battle, except that we don't have the timestamps, which, thinking about it, might be battle events should include timestamps. Might be another to do. So all of that is persisted. So basically we listen to Twitch chat with the help of TMI.js. I'm just giving you a small rundown of here, by the way, and then I think I'm going to finish. So the chat service listening to Twitch chat with the help of TMI.js. This is a very, very lightweight library. If you ever want to build a Twitch bot, this is probably the way to go inside of, as long as you're using JavaScript. This is all the code you need. This is all the code you need. You can actually even run it from your HTML file if you just include it via the script tag, which is not listed in here, but that's also an option. And you can just listen to any stream. You probably want one where they talk a lot. So you can actually listen to interesting messages. What just happened? I expect that wasn't an earthquake, but something fell down or something. But then you can build your own chatbot and write stuff into the DOM, for example, and then render the chat on your own website. Absolutely possible, and absolutely possible with just JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Yeah, so we're using that to listen to chat messages. So here we have the client, TMI client, listening to messages, which come into our TypeScript T-time chat, and then we react on those events, specific keywords. For example, !ambush, !attack, !join, !fire, ice, and heal, which you also have seen in the chat, right? This starts a battle, which is the actual entity. The entity is actually not dependent on. It's slightly dependent on Node.js, unfortunately, with this timer, but very, 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 very little is dependent actually on running it on the backend. And one of my current goals is also bringing it to the front end, so other people can actually use the game in a front end only version, which then does not include persistence. So the whole project is called TWAS. I call it then TWAS Lite, and this is actually handling all the logic, letting adventurers attack, casting fire spells, casting ice spells, checking whether somebody has joined, healing the party, ending the battle, and also spawning the monster. And this is then sent over via WebSockets to the front end whenever something changes, essentially. But at the same time, it's also sent to the database. So we use MongoDB as well as Mongoose to do that. And actually even one more step, TypeGoose, which is not a good idea anymore, I would say. Mongoose is good enough for TypeScript support by now. So, but Mongoose is basically the equivalent of those object relational mappers that we have seen earlier, TypeORM, but for non-relational object, whatever that means. We can talk about that another time. Yeah, so I think that's it for today. I thank you so much. I'm still like, what is happening, right? first writing those text documents until the very last moment, and then having such a great time in the stream, and then getting so much support. Thank you so much. I'm also very, very happy if you're just a viewer and maybe talk, send a nice message into the chat. I really, really appreciate that also. Absolutely. Without that, streaming to 0 people is, I did that enough that I'm very, very happy to see like multiple people here actively in chat. Thank you so much.